When we talk about returning to yourself, we're not talking about going back to who you used to be. We're talking about returning to the truth of who you've always been beneath the noise. Every woman at some point gets lost in the expectations that surround her. The world tells her what to be: the perfect daughter, the ideal partner, the accommodating friend, the woman who never says no. And slowly she starts trading authenticity for acceptance, peace for validation, silence for belonging. But the irony is, the more she tries to fit into what others need, the further she drifts from what she needs. Returning to yourself is not a retreat, it's a revolution. It means pausing long enough to ask, what do I truly want? What do I believe? Who am I when no one is watching? These questions are not easy. They dismantle the false identities we've built for survival. Because let's be honest, most of us learn to perform long before we learn to be. We learned that approval feels safer than authenticity, that peace in others means silence within us. But the truth is, you can't build a meaningful life from a place of pretending. You can play the role beautifully, but deep down, you'll always know when the script isn't yours. Returning to yourself requires honesty, brutal, uncomfortable honesty. You have to be willing to confront your own patterns, the way you overgive, the way you apologize for your boundaries, the way you chase emotional crumbs thinking they'll fill your soul. It's not about guilt, it's about awareness. Because once you see how far you've drifted, you can begin to find your way back. Psychologically, this process is about integration, bringing all the parts of yourself back into alignment, the strong and the soft, the logical and the emotional, the disciplined and the spontaneous. Most women were taught to suppress one side of their nature to survive in systems that misunderstood their depth. But when you return to yourself, you stop editing who you are to make others comfortable. You realize that your emotions are not weaknesses, they're signals. Your sensitivity isn't fragility, it's perception. Your empathy isn't overreacting, it's intelligence in another language. Philosophically, to return to yourself is to come back to presence. It's to stop living in the narratives of what happened and what might happen, and instead ground yourself in the now. Because clarity lives here, not in the noise of your past, not in the anxiety of your future, but in the stillness of your own awareness. And once you access that awareness, something changes. You stop chasing closure from people who broke you. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop proving, performing, and pleading. You begin to see that the power you were seeking outside was never lost, it was simply misplaced. So when I say return to you, I mean, stop running from the very soul that's been trying to get your attention. Sit with her, listen to her, rebuild trust with her, because she's been waiting patiently for you to come home. And when you finally do, you'll realize the world around you didn't need to change. You just needed to remember who you were before you forgot. Return to you because no one else can do that for you. Strength is one of the most misunderstood qualities in women. For too long, we've been told that strength looks like endurance, holding everything together, never breaking, never crying, never asking for help. We've been conditioned to wear resilience like armor, to smile through pain, to be calm while we're crumbling. And so many women confuse suppression with strength. They think being strong means never feeling. But real strength isn't about how much you can carry, it's about knowing what not to carry anymore. True strength begins with self-awareness. It's not about forcing yourself to be unshakable. It's about knowing when to stand firm and when to release. A strong woman isn't one who hides her emotions, she's one who understands them, owns them, and channels them with wisdom. Because strength without softness becomes rigidity, and softness without boundaries becomes weakness. Balance is power. Psychologically, strength has nothing to do with control. It has everything to do with acceptance. Control says, I must manage everything. Strength says, I trust myself to handle whatever happens. There's a quiet authority in that kind of strength, one that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to fight to be heard, doesn't need to dominate a room. When a woman knows who she is, her energy speaks before she does. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. We often equate strength with independence, with doing it all alone. But the deeper truth is, strength also means allowing yourself to lean, to receive, to rest. It means admitting you're tired and not feeling guilty about it. It means knowing that asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Because even the strongest trees bend with the wind, they don't resist it. Resistance breaks you, flexibility preserves you. There's also a philosophical depth to strength. It's not merely a survival instinct, it's a spiritual one. It's the recognition that you are not your circumstances, you are your response to them. Strength is choosing peace in chaos, integrity in temptation, silence when provoked, and grace when misunderstood. It's not reactive, it's responsive, it's rooted in presence, not in ego. And sometimes strength looks like walking away not because you don't care, but because you've learned that preserving your peace is more important than winning an argument. Sometimes strength is choosing to stay when running would be easier, or speaking up when silence would be safer. Sometimes it's smiling at the world while you rebuild yourself quietly. That's the paradox of feminine strength. It's both fierce and gentle, fiery and calm, unyielding and tender. We must unlearn the belief that strength means emotional distance. It doesn't. Real strength is emotional intelligence. It's the ability to hold yourself through heartbreak, to forgive without forgetting, to move on without bitterness. It's self-mastery, not self-denial. And when a woman embodies that, she becomes untouchable not because she doesn't feel pain, but because she knows how to transmute it. Strength is not about who can shout the loudest. It's about who can remain centered when the world tries to pull her apart. It's not about dominating, it's about discipline. It's not about winning battles, it's about choosing which ones are even worth fighting. So, redefine strength for yourself. Don't let the world tell you what power should look like. Let it be quiet, let it be calm, let it be soft, because sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is stay gentle in a world that forgot how to be. Emotional boundaries are one of the greatest acts of self-respect, yet for many women they are also one of the hardest to maintain. From a young age, we are taught that love means self-sacrifice, that being a good woman means giving endlessly, forgiving quickly, and understanding everyone but ourselves. And over time, that conditioning blurs the line between compassion and self-neglect. We begin to confuse empathy with obligation and kindness with compliance, but emotional boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. You decide who enters, how long they stay, and in what capacity they engage with your energy. Without them, you will find yourself drained, resentful, and disconnected from your own needs. With them, you find clarity. You learn that your peace has value, your time has worth, and your energy is sacred. Psychologically, boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about keeping yourself intact. They protect your emotional ecosystem, your thoughts, feelings, and energy from being consumed by others' chaos. And the truth is, not everyone deserves emotional access to you. Some people feed off your light but never bring warmth. Some take your understanding and mistake it for permission to keep taking. Setting boundaries doesn't make you unkind, it makes you conscious. Many women fear that asserting boundaries will make them seem cold or selfish, but think about it. When did protecting your mental and emotional well-being become an act of selfishness? This is where societal narratives need rewriting. The world often glorifies the selfless woman, the one who gives without limit, who endures without rest, but that woman often ends up empty. And emptiness cannot give love, it can only perform it. Boundaries are not about rejection, they're about alignment. They filter relationships through truth, revealing who values you, not for what you give, but for who you are. The moment you begin to say no, without guilt, you start to attract people who respect your yes. That's when real connections form, relationships built on mutual respect, not silent resentment. Philosophically, emotional boundaries are an expression of self-awareness. They are a recognition that love cannot exist without freedom, and freedom cannot exist without limits. In the same way, the ocean is beautiful because it knows its shore. Love becomes deeper when both people honor each other's space. Boundaries create the container that allows love to thrive without consuming your identity. And here's the deeper truth. Your boundaries are not only for others, they are also for you. They remind you not to overextend, not to chase validation, not to explain your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. They're the quiet, firm reminder that your energy is finite and you must invest it where it grows, not where it's drained. So, when you start saying no to things that disturb your peace, you're not being difficult, you're being deliberate. You're not pushing people away, you're making space for reciprocity. You're not building walls, you're building wisdom. And maybe that's what strength looks like in this chapter, not holding everything together, but letting go of what pulls you apart. Protect your peace, because without it, even love loses meaning. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that the approval she's been chasing was never a reflection of her worth, it was a reflection of her conditioning. From the start, we are taught to please, to be agreeable, to be liked. We grow up measuring our value by how comfortable others feel around us. We're told that being accepted means we're enough. But here's the truth: approval is conditional, self-respect is not. The constant need for approval is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It's when you silence your opinions to avoid conflict, when you laugh at jokes that hurt, when you apologize just to keep the peace. It's the moment you shrink yourself to make others feel bigger, and though it may look like harmony on the surface, it's inner chaos underneath. Because every time you choose approval over authenticity, you chip away at your own self-trust. Psychologically, this happens because our brains are wired for belonging. We associate acceptance with safety, but that wiring becomes toxic when we start performing for approval instead of living in alignment with truth. You see, external validation can feel like oxygen, but it's fleeting. It keeps you alive only for a moment. Respect, however, is the foundation of inner stability. It's the difference between being fueled by applause and being anchored by self-worth. Self-respect is not about pride, it's about boundaries of the soul. It's the quiet confidence of knowing, I don't need to convince anyone of my value, I live it. It's choosing silence over defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It's walking away from environments that make you question your worth instead of nurturing it. When you operate from self-respect, you stop chasing acceptance because you realize what's meant for you doesn't require you to beg. Philosophically, self-respect is the highest form of self-love because it demands awareness and restraint. It's not emotional arrogance, it's emotional discipline. It's recognizing that approval can be taken away, but integrity can't. It's the courage to be disliked for standing in truth rather than being loved for living a lie. Because approval makes you visible to others, but respect makes you visible to yourself. And here's the paradox: when you stop seeking approval, the right people start respecting you. Because authentic energy commands respect, it doesn't ask for it. The moment you stop performing, you begin attracting relationships built on honesty, not obligation. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you create space for your essence to speak louder than your words. When a woman learns to prioritize self-respect over approval, her entire reality changes. She no longer chases love, she radiates it. She no longer fears rejection, she understands redirection. And she no longer measures her worth by how others see her, she measures it by how deeply she stands in her truth. So if you ever have to choose between being liked and being respected, always choose respect. Approval fades, opinions shift, and people forget. But self-respect, that's the one thing you carry with you, unshakable, through every chapter of your life. Because the moment you stop needing to be approved, you finally become free. Power has always been misunderstood when it comes to women. Society has painted it in extremes. Either you are too soft and easily dismissed, or too assertive and labeled difficult. But true feminine power is neither submission nor dominance. It's grace. It's the quiet strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's the calm authority that comes from being deeply rooted in who you are. Graceful power is not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Graceful power begins with emotional regulation. It's the ability to hold your composure when everything around you is trying to provoke a reaction. Because power is not proven through force, it's revealed through restraint. The woman who can pause, reflect, and respond with clarity, instead of reacting in anger, is the one who holds the real influence. She's not driven by ego, she's guided by purpose, and that's what gives her presence that quiet, undeniable aura that makes people listen when she speaks, even if her tone is soft. Psychologically, this kind of power is rooted in self-possession. It's knowing that your peace is not for sale. It's refusing to let other people's chaos dictate your emotional state. When you embody graceful power, you stop trying to win every argument because you realize not every disagreement deserves your energy. You start to choose peace over proving a point, understanding that silence can be louder than words when it comes from self-assurance. Graceful power also means embracing humility. It's knowing that strength isn't about always being right, it's about staying open to growth. It's the ability to say, I don't know yet, without feeling less. It's understanding that vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. The most powerful women are not those who intimidate others, they inspire them. They stand tall, but they also reach out. They lead, but they listen. They command respect, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Philosophically, graceful power is the harmony between strength and compassion. It's the understanding that love and firmness can coexist, that you can forgive someone and still maintain your boundaries, that you can be kind without being naive. Power without grace becomes tyranny, grace without power becomes fragility. But when you merge the two, you become magnetic, grounded, wise, and unshakable. And perhaps the most profound expression of graceful power is forgiveness not for others, but for yourself. Forgiving yourself for the years you stayed silent, for the times you tolerated less, for the moments you forgot your own worth. That kind of grace is revolutionary because it transforms pain into wisdom. It allows you to rise without resentment, and that's when you truly become powerful, when nothing outside of you has the power to define you anymore. So don't confuse grace with weakness. Grace is what keeps your heart soft while your spirit stays unbreakable. It's what allows you to move through life without losing your essence, even when the world tests you. Because real power isn't about changing how others see you, it's about remembering who you are when they don't. Stay soft, stay steady, that's how a woman stands strong without ever having to raise her voice. The truth is, returning to yourself isn't something you do once. It's not a single awakening or a one-time decision, it's a continuous journey, a daily homecoming. Life will always pull you away from yourself. Circumstances, people, responsibilities, even love, they can all distract you, stretch you, scatter you, and before you realize it, you're lost again, living on autopilot, reacting instead of choosing, surviving instead of being. That's why returning must become a practice, not an event. You must return to your center again and again until it becomes your natural state. There will be days when you forget everything you've learned about yourself. Days when old patterns resurface and you catch yourself overgiving, over-explaining, or overthinking. Don't see those moments as failure, see them as reminders. Growth doesn't mean you never fall back. It means you recognize when you do, and you come back faster, softer, wiser. Every time you return with more awareness. That's evolution. Psychologically, this process mirrors the nature of healing. It's not linear. Healing comes in waves. Some days you feel grounded and whole. Other days you feel fragmented and unsure. But both states are part of the same journey. The key is to stop resisting the ebb and flow of your own becoming, to understand that you are not meant to be constant, you are meant to expand, contract, and expand again. Returning to yourself means embracing that rhythm instead of fighting it. Philosophically, it's an act of devotion. Returning is self, communion, it's choosing to sit with yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. It's choosing to listen to your inner voice, even when the world is loud. It's remembering that peace isn't found in perfection, but in presence. You return to yourself every time you choose silence over noise, reflection over reaction, truth over performance. Each time you do, you rebuild your connection to your essence, the part of you that no loss, no heartbreak, no failure can destroy. And maybe that's the most powerful lesson of all, that you will lose yourself many times in this life to people, to love, to ambition, to pain, but you will always have the choice to come back, to pause, to breathe, to remember, because the woman who knows how to return to herself is never truly lost. She's simply in the process of remembering. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to start again. Start now, wherever you are, however broken or uncertain you feel. Return to your peace, return to your truth, return to your body, return to your breath, return to your boundaries, return to your worth. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about coming back to the one. You've always been the one who existed before the world told you who to be. And when life inevitably pulls you away again, as it will, don't despair. Just come back every time. Because the woman who learns to return to herself can never truly be taken from herself again.